A single blood pressure reading can either put your mind at ease or send you into panic. But the truth is, that number might be hiding a silent secret that few people know about, and it could change your life. Hello, my name is Ethan Marshall. I'm a 60-year-old physician here in the United States, and I've spent more than 3 decades studying and treating cardiovascular health. To start, let me share a fact that often shocks people. I've had patients whose blood pressure at home was a calm 124/78, but the moment they stepped into my clinic, it spiked to 145/90, and suddenly they were labeled hypertensive. Can you imagine? In just a few minutes, a healthy person is branded a patient without even realizing it. This contradiction leaves many people anxious, confused, and in some cases starting medication they may not actually need. And that is why today I want to take you deeper into the real story behind the numbers. Before we continue, I'd like to ask you to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with your family or friends. Doing so not only motivates me to keep creating meaningful content, but also helps others take steps to protect their health. When it comes to blood pressure, many people still believe it's a fixed number, a sentence printed on a medical chart. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Blood pressure is never still. It's like the rhythm of life itself, shifting minute by minute, second by second, influenced by your mood, your environment, and even the smallest factors. Drink a strong cup of coffee and your pressure may climb. Lose a night of sleep and the next morning the numbers can read abnormally high. Even something as simple as a full bladder can make the reading jump. And here's the surprising part, even rushing in from the parking lot and feeling a little nervous while sitting down with your doctor can create a major difference between the reading at home and the one in the clinic. The real concern is that too many people treat each measurement as absolute truth, panicking when the number runs high, or feeling falsely reassured when it looks low. But let me ask you, would you ever judge an entire movie based on a single blurry snapshot? Blood pressure works the same way. It isn't a still picture. It's a moving film that reflects your lifestyle, your habits, and the rhythm of your biology. That's why relying on one random measurement means missing the real story your body is trying to tell. In my years of practice, I've seen countless patients walk in with one question on their minds. Do I really have high blood pressure or not? It's not an easy question, but it is the critical starting point for learning how to truly understand your health. And this is the message I want to emphasize from the very beginning. Blood pressure is not just a number on a machine. It's part of a complex symphony. Your body plays constantly, moving, constantly changing. So to close this introduction, let me ask you, if your clinic reading came back higher than the one at home, would you think A, it's a serious warning that requires medication right away, or B, it's a number that should be carefully tracked before reaching any conclusion? Share your answer A or B in the comments below. I look forward to reading what you think. When most people think of blood pressure, they immediately picture an illness or a fixed number printed on a medical chart. In reality, though, blood pressure is shaped by countless everyday factors that often go unnoticed. A strong cup of coffee in the morning can raise your heart rate and temporarily push your blood pressure higher. A restless or shallow night of sleep can trigger the sympathetic nervous system, causing your reading to climb above normal. Even something as simple as a full bladder while waiting to be seen can create a noticeable spike on the monitor. Temperature plays a role as well on cold days. Blood vessels naturally constrict to preserve body heat, and as a result, blood pressure rises. And let's not forget those seemingly trivial situations, hurrying from the parking lot into the clinic, or casually chatting while the cuff inflates, both can push the numbers higher than your body's true resting state. Medical literature has confirmed that these fluctuations are not errors, but normal physiological responses to specific circumstances. That's why a single result can never fully capture the reality of your cardiovascular health. For instance, a patient rushing into the clinic from the lot might register 160 mol/min, but after just 5 quiet minutes focusing on slow, deep breaths, that same patient's pressure may fall to 132 mol/min. This example shows that the initial reading wasn't wrong. It simply reflected the body's immediate stress reaction at that moment. That is why clinical experts consistently recommend considering both the context of the reading and the daily conditions surrounding it before drawing any medical conclusions. At its core, blood pressure behaves like a flowing current, constantly shifting with time, environment, and the body's physiological state. To focus on a single number is like judging an entire movie based on a single still frame. The perspective is incomplete and risks leading to mistaken conclusions. The better approach is not to worry or feel falsely reassured by one isolated measurement, but instead to track blood pressure across different situations, record values at rest, and most importantly, look for the overall pattern. Only when the numbers are placed in their full context can they accurately tell the story of a person's health. One of the most common reasons blood pressure results can be misleading is a phenomenon called white coat hypertension. In a clinic setting, anxiety and elevated heart rate and the stress of being in front of medical staff can cause readings to be much higher than a patient's true baseline. International surveys show this happens in roughly 15 to 30% of patients, meaning at least 1 in 4 people who walk into a clinic may be recorded with an artificially high blood pressure. Without confirming these results with home measurements, patients are at risk of being misdiagnosed with hypertension and placed on unnecessary medication for years. Another frequent source of error comes from using the wrong cuff size. If the cuff is too tight, it produces falsely high numbers. If it's too loose, the readings will be too low. This technical mistake is widespread because many people default to a standard cuff size instead of measuring arm circumference and selecting the proper cuff from the sizing chart that comes with the device. Using the correct size ensures not only more accurate readings, but also prevents needless worry or misguided treatment decisions. Posture during the reading is equally important. When a patient sits with legs crossed back unsupported, the arm hanging down, or positioned below heart level, the result can be significantly skewed. Likewise, talking or moving during the measurement interferes with accuracy. For this reason, medical guidelines stress maintaining the correct posture. Side upright with your back-supported feet, flat on the forearm resting at heart level, and remain still and silent while the cuff inflates. A poor posture alone can shift the reading by tens of millimeters of mercury, enough to alter treatment direction. Another common pitfall is failing to rest before measuring. If a patient climbs the stairs, argues, or drinks coffee right before taking a reading, the number reflects a temporary stress response rather than the body's true resting blood pressure. It's essential to wait at least 5 minutes in a calm, quiet space without talking or stimulation before recording a value. Finally, relying on just one measurement is a serious limitation. Because blood pressure is inherently variable, accuracy requires taking at least 2 readings 1 minute apart, repeating the process morning and evening over several days. The average of these values is a far more reliable reflection of a patient's true condition. For example, a 42-year-old man once came into the clinic with a reading of 145/90. But when he monitored at home for 7 days, his average was only 126/78. This revealed he did not need antihypertensive medication. Lifestyle changes such as reducing salt and managing stress were sufficient. This case clearly demonstrates how even small errors in measurement technique or routine can lead to inappropriate treatment decisions with long-term consequences for a patient's quality of life. One of the greatest challenges in modern cardiology is a condition known as masked hypertension, where a patient's readings appear completely normal in the clinic, but rise significantly in daily life. This phenomenon is particularly dangerous because it produces no obvious symptoms, leaving individuals under the impression they are healthy while their blood vessels, heart, brain, and kidneys silently endure damage over time. Epidemiological studies estimate that around 10 to 20% of adults may suffer from this form of hypertension, with higher prevalence among younger people. Those in high-stress jobs, regular smokers, and individuals whose clinic results fall at the borderline range. Without detection, masked hypertension can progress to serious complications such as stroke, heart attack, or chronic kidney disease, all of which directly threaten both lifespan and quality of life. To address this hidden risk, modern medicine has developed and strongly recommends the use of 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, or ABPM. This device, worn by the patient like a small portable monitor, automatically records blood pressure every 15 to 30 minutes throughout the day and night, capturing data during rest, work, movement, and even sleep. Unlike a single clinic reading, ABPM collects a continuous stream of values, creating a comprehensive picture of blood pressure fluctuations across real-life conditions. It is considered the gold standard for diagnosing hypertension, as it eliminates clinic-related influences while offering a more reliable prediction of cardiovascular risk compared to isolated measurements. One critical advantage of ABPM is its ability to detect non-dipping patterns. Normally, blood pressure drops by 10 to 20% during sleep, a physiological mechanism that allows the heart and vessels to rest. If this dip does not occur, patients face a higher likelihood of organ damage and cardiovascular events. ABPM is the only tool that can provide enough data to confirm this pattern. Beyond that, ABPM results help physicians assess the effectiveness of current medications, detect abnormal blood pressure variability, and identify cases of resistant hypertension. These insights are vital for tailoring treatment strategies, optimizing control, and reducing long-term risks. In practical terms, ABPM becomes essential when there are large discrepancies between home and clinic readings, or when antihypertensive drugs fail to produce the expected results. The data collected not only validates or refines the diagnosis of hypertension, but also provides a scientific foundation for selecting medications, determining the best time of day for dosing, and designing a long-term monitoring plan. In this way, ABPM does more than uncover the hidden actors. In the blood pressure story, it captures the entire movie of pressure changes across daily life. As a result, medical decisions become more accurate and personalized, delivering sustainable benefits for cardiovascular health across the community. By its very nature, blood pressure is not a static number, but a continuous reflection of how the body responds to environment, lifestyle, and emotional state. To treat a single reading as an absolute conclusion is unfounded and easily misleading. What truly matters is not one isolated measurement, but the overall trend of readings taken under proper conditions and across different times of day. Only through repeated, accurate measurements can the full picture emerge, providing the scientific foundation for sound medical decisions. This is why in modern medicine, the concept of blood pressure patterns carries more weight than blood pressure values. Achieving accuracy requires patients to follow key principles using a certified device, selecting the right cuff size, maintaining correct posture, and tracking results over several days to calculate an average. When uncertainty arises, or when there are major differences between home and clinic readings, 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitoring ABPM should be considered as a critical validation step. The data it provides not only eliminates psychological bias, but also uncovers high-risk patterns such as failure of blood pressure to dip during sleep. With comprehensive analysis, physicians can make precise treatment choices, avoiding both unnecessary prescriptions and missed risks. Alongside medical tools, lifestyle remains essential in controlling blood pressure. In Rational Fasting, Anja Chua Lanch researcher Arnold Ehret emphasized that many diseases stem from the buildup of mucus in the body, a byproduct of diets heavy in meat, dairy, and refined starches. When viewed alongside modern science, this perspective highlights a complementary approach. Blood pressure is not only managed with medication, but also by easing the burden on the digestive system, purifying the blood, and choosing a more natural, balanced diet. Eating, simply selecting foods that are easy to digest and nutrient-rich, combined with stress management and regular physical activity, helps stabilize the body and in turn makes blood pressure more sustainable. The final message to emphasize is this: blood pressure is not a fixed label, but a dynamic indicator of overall health. Measuring correctly, tracking consistently, and interpreting wisely allow us to move past the anxiety of single numbers and focus on long-term trends. In medical practice, the goal is not merely treating the measurement, but caring for the whole person behind the numbers. The combination of scientific knowledge, modern technology, and balanced lifestyle creates a solid foundation for protecting cardiovascular health and extending life expectancy in today's high-pressure society. The core lesson here is that health is never built on haste or isolated judgments. It comes from patience in observing trends and proactive choices in daily living. Practically, this means developing the habit of measuring blood pressure correctly at home, logging data over several days to find patterns, rather than worrying about one unusual reading. It also means gradually adjusting your diet toward simplicity and natural balance, cutting down on processed foods, prioritizing fresh vegetables, fruits, and clean sources of nutrition to help your body function in harmony. This approach not only helps control blood pressure, but also nourishes long-term health. Question for you. Which factor do you believe has the strongest impact on your blood pressure, your lifestyle, or your mental state? Share your thoughts in the comments below so we can learn from one another. And don't forget to fill out the form in the description to receive your free Healing Health ebook, and make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so we can keep bringing you more valuable content.